Hey guys, Jeff here at C21 Circle on the Treasure Coast. Thanks for joining me and thanks for taking time to review my marketing plan for your property and all the ways that I compare to the other realtors in the area and what's the difference in the way that I do it and the way that they do it. So hang on, we'll try to keep it as brief as possible, but in such an important decision, I want to make sure that I cover a lot of the bases. So hang on and thanks for being here. All right, so let's talk about this stack of marketing plans that you're going to get from potential listing agents. Now, this marketing plan, some people will call it their listing agreement. This marketing plan should go down and list all of the steps that they're going to take to market your property. All right, so the first step in every marketing plan is coming to the right price, right? Because everything else really doesn't matter. If the price isn't right, it's not going to be a good deal. So how do we come to that price? So there's a lot of tools that are available to every agent through the multi-listing service, that's the MLS. And through that, we can have access to everything that has sold, everything that's listed, and everything that's pending in your neighborhood. Now, typically what people do is they just throw a big net over the neighborhood. They look for the highest prices that are close, so that when they're presenting this, they're going to be really buying your listing by giving you a number that possibly is not realistic. Even though the CMA may reflect that houses have potentially sold in that, we have to remember that 20, 21, and 22 were not typical years. So comparing to what happened then is not indicative of what's going on now. What other sources of price do we have at our disposal to try to come to a good valuation of your place? There are automated valuations through like Zillow and Realtor.com, and you get that Zestimate. We want to caution you that that is an automated system that just looks at the nuts and bolts of what has been loaded into the MLS. That comparable will not really reflect a true value for your home. So you want to be careful not to have Zillow or any of those estimates put a whole lot of water on coming to your price. Now, also there are vendor third-party services that different agencies and brokerships use. Century 21 has some of the greatest tools, I believe, that are available in the industry today. And through that, I can take that CMA, I can take those estimates, and I can put them all together. And this is an interactive forum so that all of my comparables, let's say we put something in there that's active, let's say between the time that I print that out or create that report and the time that you read it, that house may have already sold, or they may have reduced the price or increased it. With what I produce, that is interactive, so that changes every day. So you open that report and it's already updated, even if I did it 2 weeks ago. The other thing that's really going to affect the price that you can expect to get for your home is the market trends. You know, our interest rates have been crazy. The threat of inflation has been crazy. That has all affected the market. Plus, we've seen a great big increase in inventory. So buyers have a whole lot more to choose from, and they're not feeling that pressure. So your expectation when it comes to price should be that you are going to get all of the information put together in a nice package that can be presented and can be reviewed with you and your agent. That is number one. All right, so once we get the price set, what is stage 2 of this life cycle? And that is going to be staging and prepping the property. So in this stage, we don't want to spend a whole lot of money. You want to sell your house. You don't want to improve it and live there forever. But we do want to have nice curb appeal. We want to have it cleaned out as much as possible so that our prospective buyers can picture their things in there. Now, this part is somewhat painful because a lot of times people are attached to their certain things and they may be awesome, but they may not be the same taste as our potential buyers. So being able to have a real compassionate and understanding conversation about that helps get through this stage and get ready to get this house on the market. Phase 3 puts the market in marketing plan. So you're right, it's the marketing stage. How are we going to present this property, and when do we change how we present it? And that stage right there has a life cycle of its own, right? So I like to call it the just listed, now active, and then adjusted. So in those 3 stages, we have different assets. So through the Century 21 marketing team, as soon as we get a listing, right, it goes out with a just listed presentation. We have both print, we have social media, and here's a look at some of the things that we get. These assets are generated within 24 hours of the listing going on. Now, everybody at Century 21 gets those. How we use those drastically differs between agent to agent. It does require some money when you're mailing out, but in my marketing plan, in this just listed stage, what I usually do is, of course, we get all the pictures and we get all the way through the staging and prep, and that's where the picture's taken. So we have all of these assets. Once I load that into the MLS, immediately Century 21 generates my just listed assets. Those immediately go online to the network. They're shared throughout the different agencies. They're shared with brokers. It's put on the MLS, so it's purveyed out to all of the third-party sites. So on day 1, there will be 10 different platforms that you'll be able to Google and search and find your properties. So we'll go into all the different stages deeper when we sit down and talk about it. But the main thing is, to take away from this conversation, is there has to be an action plan for each stage. So once you're done with just listed, let's say it's been there 2 weeks, and the market for some reason hasn't agreed with the selling yet, then you have the now active. What we do in that stage is we shake it up a little bit. We freshen up the listing on the MLS by putting on a new picture, maybe a little bit new verbiage, right? And then we send out new assets that say it's now active or on the market. All right, and we let that go for a little bit and we see what kind of results we have there. If through this we haven't gotten the offer that we're looking for, then the market is telling us we don't have the price set correctly. Because if we've done all of these stages, right, we have already gotten in front of every ready, willing, and able buyer. Now we're here. We need to do a little adjustment. When we do an adjustment, it puts it out just like a brand new just listed. All of the assets are regenerated. We put in a new picture, we adjust the price, and then we hit it back out and it looks like it's just listed. And we can continue to do this life cycle through it until we get to the right price for the right buyer and we get the deal under contract. Now, all of this stuff is really good, but how do you know what's actually going on? Every listing agent can tell you, this is what I'm going to do. But once you get 30 days into it and you haven't seen them, you start to get a little bit nervous, especially if you're not part of those networks where you're seeing all of the assets going out to, if you're not receiving them in the mail. So step 4 is imperative that you have some sort of tracking ability on everything to this point of your listing. And the tracking that we use here at Century 21 is called the Golden Rule, right? The Golden Ruler is a program that will gather up all of the clicks. It keeps track of who's clicking, where they're clicking, who's saving, what sites they were clicking through, and it generates a report that I send out bi-weekly to everybody, as well as an email that lists all of the showings that we had for the property and the feedback that we received. So tracking is very, very important, and having a tool that does that keeps you on track, because once we set that, right, that is going to go down for the whole entire life of the listing. Okay, so we're tracking everything, we've worked our plan down to step number 5, and we still don't have a buyer. Step number 5 is it's time to talk about adjustments, right? That can happen if you go to the higher end of your range when you list, If you list too high and if the market's moving, you could be chasing that price down, and that's going to take some adjustments. Right here is really where you want a seasoned agent, right? Because agents at this stage, they start to panic because they don't see a paycheck coming in. They feel like they're going to lose the listing. So when they go for this adjustment, they're going to the bone. They're really looking to make a drastic cut here. There are many different ways without adjusting the price to make your listing more attractive to potential buyers. You know, and you got to be innovative. You got to be different. You got to set this listing apart. And this works in reverse too in buying when you're in negotiations, and we'll cover that in a different area. So when we're here at the marketing stage and we're going to go down here, we're in our adjustment, how are we going to be innovative? I want to use just a couple examples. I have a house that doesn't have a back door in it. And it's just been a thorn in the side that nobody wants the house without a back door, right? We've done an adjustment with the price just a little bit to keep it fresh. We're now at the 90-day mark. It's time to get innovative. So we sat with the sellers and we were like, look, our feedback is saying the back door is an issue. So we have already built in enough on the price up here because we understood that that was potentially going to be a problem. Right? So we left enough room in the price that we set that if we wanted to put in a back door, right, we would have enough money to give out of the asking price to get that back door in. That's just one example of a way that we can make an adjustment without exactly dropping the price. In this stage, you don't want somebody just swinging an axe. This has got to be calculated and it's got to make sense. So that is a very important stage. So let's review to this point before we go on to number 7. All right, so through the marketing plan that I use in my pricing, we make sure we gather all of the data that's possible and we package it into easy to read, easy to understand, and interactive. So it's continually moving with the market and everything that's happening. We get that done for you. We get it presented to you post haste right at the very beginning. Our next thing is our conversation will be, we're going to go through your house. You're going to show me your beautiful home and all of the things that you love about it, all of the things that you've upgraded. And then we're going to talk about staging. And are you living there during it? How the showings will go, all of that. We're going to take care of that in step number 2, right? Then I'm going to go through that marketing plan that we discussed, and I'm going to show you step by step. We're going to review those assets. And then that gets us through to step number 4, our tracking of it, using the golden rule, making sure that we're watching each site, monitoring the clicks, and we're showing where we're getting activity and where we're not getting so much activity. Both are important because we don't want to waste money and time advertising in a place where we're not getting any activity, right? 5, we're going to do the adjustments, right? We're going to be innovative when we do those. We're not going to be giving away the farm. We're going to find a way to make your property more attractive. And then we're going to enter into the negotiations, and we're going to be fair, but we're going to be firm, and we're going to fight for our client during that stage. And experience is the best asset for someone that's in that negotiation stage, or at least the support of experience. All right, so let's get to number 7. Number 7 is we're going under contract. Some of our favorite stuff. Right here is where most agents go have a margarita, right? You know, their payday's right around the corner. They got a date now. They're good. They think it's done. That's only the beginning. There's a whole bunch of things that happen right here, and if that doesn't go good, we never get here, right? So you need an agent that has a system in place that will guide him through this and keep them on track. Here at C21, we use SkySlope. It's interactive with all of our contacts, and through the title company, we get a dated list of when everything is due, and you should have, every agent should be able to cruise through this. Unfortunately, some people clock out right here, right? With us, that's not going to happen. All right, so we're under contract. We've prepared all the documents. Everything now, do we go on vacation? No, sir, we do not, because at this point, we need to really monitor the other side. right? And all of the inspections, all of the appraisals, all of that, even if it's not your job to schedule those and to be there for those and all of that, if you're representing the seller, it's not necessarily your thing. With me, that's my thing. Because if they're not doing it, we're never getting down here. So that goes right back to that communication, that responsiveness, and that accountability that you find here at C21 Circle with me and my team. The way you rest easy while we're in here is because of step number 9 I put in place. I prepare a report once every 2 weeks through the closing of the property that lets you know everything that's been done, everything that hasn't been done, everything that's been found by the inspectors, anything that needs to be negotiated, repaired, or fixed. That all has to happen right here where we're tracking the close. And by tracking the close, it's not monitoring the other side. Tracking the close is presenting all of the things that we need to take care of for our client on our side. This stage right here, we're watching the other side to make sure that they're doing everything that they're supposed to do. So in step number 9, much like over here in step number 4, you're going to be getting a weekly or bi-weekly report depending on the transaction and how it's going and the moving parts. So that gives you that peace of mind when you're working with us. Number 10, this one's skipped a lot by a lot of agents, and that's that final walkthrough. Typically by final walkthrough, right, agents are finally we're done. No, we still have another step to do. We're almost there, but we're not done quite yet. So that final walkthrough, right, that's where we go to protect our client, right? We want to make sure that everything we talked about, all of those repairs, all of those things that we love are still in that house, that everything that was supposed to pervade has pervaded, right? So the final walkthrough, we don't skip that. We schedule it on the day of close. That way we don't have to take another part of your day. And that's usually a pretty exciting time. So the final walkthrough is the one step right before, that's right, closing day. Or as the song goes, closing time. So closing day. All right, there's a lot of time that's spent preparing for this. So during these steps, a lot of what we do in here prepares us for this, right? When we get to step number 10, we've already got this scheduled and everything, but it is very, very important that we have maintained the course to achieve closing. If we're in the buyer circle, we're going to make sure that we haven't adjusted our finances any. With closing day on the seller side, we're going to make sure that everything has been repaired, everything, we're no more going back to fix the sink or the little leak. Everything is done so that when that walkthrough happens, we're handing over keys and the transfer of the wire and the money, everything is done on that day and we're finished, right? So this is a marketing plan, and I'm sure you're going to get a stack of them. But I wanted to take a time so that you could hear me talk, you could see my face, and we could get to know each other a little bit more. Our next step is, I want you to give me a call, invite me over, and let's look at your property and look at the innovative ways that we can make your property stick out in the crowd, especially now that our inventory is on the increase and our buyers are being much more picky. Thanks a lot for joining me. I hope you found some value in this, and I can't wait to hear from you and get to work hard.